What awesome things can you consider when shopping for a monitor? Guys, today I'm going to review this 27-inch LG display, and I have compared the different sizes. I used to have a 24-inch display back in the day, and I used that 24-inch display religiously all the time. But eventually I went up to bigger and bigger sizes, trying 32-inch displays, trying curved displays, and I found over time that 27-inch, and this is really something you can think about, is a good middle ground. Why am I saying this? 24-inch, maybe for the infrequent user, I think is pretty good. 32-inch, if you need that super extra space. But with 32-inch, you can consider that 32-inch would be a quite big display. And actually, from having tested multiple 32-inch display and used them over several months, 32-inch, I always need to put this a little bit further away, simply because it's so big. 27-inch, for me, strikes a good balance because it sits right in the middle. So my assumption is that a lot of people are gonna like these 27 inches. And if you haven't tried that out, you definitely can put an eye on an LG display like this. And guys, what's more exciting than have a new display? I'm just going to do this really quick. And as you know from my other LG reviews, these displays are usually pretty good package. And last review I did was from the LG Ergo that had this really cool flexible monitor arm. This is the standard LG monitor arm and very easy to assemble. I'm going to show this to you in a second how this looks. You have the monitor stand, you just screw this in here. Then usually the accessory package with the cables and the power supply. The adapter cables, usually you have the HDMI and the USB-C. USB-C is great if you, for example, want to use it with a MacBook. And the HDMI, you could connect your computer, or maybe if you have a streaming box, that's also very nice. And assembling the monitor arm is very easy to do. You just take this bottom portion, put it in there and fixate it with your hand a little bit previously. And then the next thing is you're going to take out the screwdriver because you want to tighten this down just to make sure you have a solid fit and the stand is ready to be put on your desk like shown here. And next up, we're going to take the panel out of the packaging, very carefully remove the foil. And then one good piece of advice, obviously you can do it from the front, but I find this a little bit cumbersome because I don't see what I'm doing. Much better to do it from behind and click it into place. Terrific. Now I've tested this display for a while, and right now you're seeing it connected to my MacBook Pro via Thunderbolt. Very useful feature because you just have one cable, and as you can see, it's charging it. All works like one cable connection, works like a docking station. And to control the display, you have the typical LG controller knob at the bottom here. Some other displays I tested, namely the ASO, they have sometimes controller knobs at the front, so that's also something you can consider. If some people, they want the controller knobs on the front, some people, they are fine with this controller knob down here. One thing I found, while the colors are super crisp, that's usually with the LGs, this display seems to have a unique, I haven't noticed that before, power saving feature. So you can go to general and then smart energy saving. And I actually disabled it from the factory. It came with high, but why does this matter? If you have the energy saving enabled, it uses a luminance compensation algorithm. And I do not like that energy saving feature. So I encourage you to turn it off, because when it was turned on from the factory and I was doing some video editing on the system, I had some slight fluctuations sometimes in the brightness. And I was wondering, what's going on? Why is the slight fluctuation in the brightness? And it comes from this algorithm. So go into the menu, go to settings, go to general, and then turn off this energy saving feature. And in my opinion, that gives you a much nicer viewing experience. Another thing people often are interested in is how is the workspace that I can use. And my recommendation is to show this to you. That's a normal window, a browser window that I have opened here. And I'm going to push down now the option key and go to scaled. and then I can change the resolution from the default of the monitor to slightly higher settings. And as you see, the higher I put that function, the more space I will gain. Obviously there's a trade-off, everything becomes a little bit smaller, so you can really fine adjust. That's very nice with the LG displays. They give you a lot of options to fine adjust this. I usually leave it on the default because then everything is a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to read. But you see how much space I already gained by putting this setting up right here. And now we are back to the default. Very nice display, I like it a lot so far. And another cool thing why this display you can also enjoy using a lot is, besides just using it as a docking station for your notebook, in my case the MacBook Pro, you can also connect a streaming box. So regardless whether you have an Apple TV or maybe an Amazon device, that should connect via the HDMI, also very nice. This has a lot of inputs. It has a DisplayPort input, it has 2 HDMI inputs, it has the USB-C, so you can connect plenty of devices. Only recommendation is the built-in speakers, they are not like super strong. So if you have the possibility, connect some external speakers on the back of the display, then you will get an even better experience. Awesome guys, this concludes the review of the LG display. I showed you this 27-inch HDR 4K monitor, really nice piece of gear. For me, it's always the recommendation, if you have the budget, get something nicer display, especially if you use it on a regular basis. It's a much more enjoyable experience to get out of your computer. I showed you all the connections that you have, that you can connect to HDMI, that you have a display port even, and that you can connect a USB-C / this Thunderbolt kind of connector here. For example, with my MacBook, it works as a docking station. And those are things, you know, that you can just connect this with one cable and it charges your notebook and you have the display. That's something we used to dream about. And now it's reality. You just plug it in. Very, very convenient to use that. And yeah, you can connect a streaming box if you want to watch a movie every now and then. That's also very, very cool. Yeah, I give you the advice. With this was a little bit of a particular case that I would recommend you to go into the menu and disable this energy saving algorithm that somehow messes a little bit with the brightness. Yes, it's very subtle, but since I'm doing the video editing, I'm always super aware of the picture and how everything looks. So I recommended you to turn this off. This is a very handy piece of advice. Some people, they don't like the controller knob, but hey, the LG displays, they almost check all the boxes. So like a small thing like this controller knob, I would prefer these direct buttons like I know from the Acer display. But usually, from my personal opinion, the Samsung displays, they usually are even more affordable than there are the LG, and even pricier the Acer displays, the Japanese Acer displays. So you have a really broad range of manufacturers, and then even in the LG line, you know, you have more affordable LGs, or you have like these UltraFine series. I think this sits nicely in the middle, so that's why I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this. And I also talked about the different display sizes that beginner users maybe enjoy the 24-inch. If you don't use it that frequently, the majority of people are probably going to go for a 27-inch, and the power users, if you have to do legal documents or accounting and you need extra space, maybe you get a 32-inch or maybe even a super 21:9 curved display, which I also all reviewed for you guys on my channel page. Let me show this to you here, and you can do a bunch of comparisons or maybe even ask me a question which display you want to see next. Also for tuning in. You have learned something new, exciting times. Guys, awesome, take care. And because you just watched my review, you can also be interested in comparing it, for example, against this curved LG monitor, which I tested for video editing and what proved to be especially useful for gaming. You see how much more space it provides to you, this massive 21:9-inch curved monitor versus the classical 16:9 24-inch in full HD. So guys, this was a mouthful. I see you as a subscriber, and in the next video, all the best to you. Take care.